best scene. It's like a 20-minute long shot of the Enterprise. It is spaceship porn. It's my favorite. That way. All right. Buenos dias. Buenos dias. No, buenos dias. I'm learning how to say it right. Okay. Whoa, 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 stop. Whoa, whoa. Okay. Hi. I don't speak Spanish. I'm Brian. I work at National Public Radio, which is a network of community-funded radio stations in the U.S. I've been there for about a year. One of the big things that drew me to NPR was that they were doing really amazing work delivering news on many platforms, on the radio, on the web, mobile phones, and I'd been thinking a lot about mobile at my previous job. I used to work at one of the world's greatest newspapers, the Chicago Tribune. We were working on a project to create a new mobile version of our website, but something about the premise of the project bothered me. We had decided, it seemed to me prematurely, that a mobile website was the right thing to make. So we backed up and asked some questions about our audience. We asked questions like, who exactly are our users? What are their lives like? What's their daily routine? You know, what do they need from us? Well, it turns out that they listen to the radio in their cars on the way to work, and they would read their phones online at the supermarket, and on the bus, and on el baño, and they read Facebook in bed on their phones in the dark, right? So our guiding principle became that we needed to meet people where they're at, right? We needed to reach our audience in those in-between moments in their day, before they went to work, while they were commuting, in bed after their children were asleep, that what we thought of as sort of the cracks in their day. And of course, what we needed to build was indeed a mobile website. But after doing our research, we knew why, right? We knew that the point was not just to build something that fit on your phone, size-wise. The point is that we needed to build a product that fit into how people live their lives today. So if you'll forgive me, I've got a bunch of statistics in this presentation. They're mostly from the US and the UK. I know life is different here. I suspect it's somewhat similar, but I can only talk about what I really feel like I know well, so bear with me. Anyway, regarding building a product that fits into people's lives, recent surveys of mobile users have revealed exactly what we had suspected of our audience. These are stats from the UK. But users in the UK and the US are using their phones at this point now more than 2 hours every day. That's a long time. And in this one survey, 77% of the mobile users surveyed were using their phones in bed, 41% in the bathroom, although I suspect that number is a little higher, and people aren't admitting it. But one thing I think is important is what do I mean when I say mobile, right? And it's important to note that mobile is not, walking down the street or in your car always, right? It doesn't mean movimiento. Doesn't mean you're moving, right? It doesn't mean movement. It means while you're eating soup. It means when you're doing something, when you're in between things. It's when you're out at the bar with your friends, right? And it's not really just your phone. It can really mean anything that's not a traditional desktop computer experience, right? So right now it's probably your phone and your tablet, but in the near future, in a year or two, we could be talking about your awesome internet watch or your Google glasses, or frankly even your television set, or your internet-enabled refrigerator. I like Karen McCrane's definition that mobile is anyone who's ever pecked at his mobile phone from the couch, right? When you've been too lazy to walk to your computer. So mobile's not about giving someone a mobile optimized or an edited experience, a smaller experience because the screen is smaller, right? Mobile users expect the whole internet to work perfectly correct for their lazy asses. And that's just fine. It's just our job to make it work for them. So I have to give myself moments to breathe and drink some water. This is my team. This is before the election last year. Our team at NPR these days is made up of 2 software developers, 3 designers, a reporter, an intern usually, and myself. My background is in software development and computer science, so sometimes I code, but most of the time really I edit our work and sketch designs, manage projects, and our team does things like we do data journalism, and we make maps and charts and graphics, and we do multimedia projects and video and photography. It's sort of all over the place. And I've got a few examples to show you of how we make that stuff work on mobile. But before I get to all that, we have something important to talk about. This is a drink that some of you in the room may be familiar with. Are there any Chileanos? No Chileans here today? Oh well. This is a terremoto. I had it in Santiago last year. It's a Chilean beverage made with, get this, white wine, so vino blanco, ice cream, and fernet, or fernet? How do you say fernet here? Fernet. That's fucking crazy. Right? But it's actually pretty good. And I'll be honest, I have no idea the history of this drink. I just like to use this as an example. I don't know who made it up. But please correct me after the talk here. But I'm pretty fucking sure that this drink was not invented by someone with options. At a well-stocked bar, you'd be drinking a gin tonic, right? And I think it's important because the idea is that constraints, parameters, limits force you to be creative. And so in that spirit, we have rules on our team. And our biggest rule is that if it doesn't work on mobile, it doesn't work. So our team builds websites that work great on any size screen, big or small, using a technique called responsive web design. The web pages reshape themselves depending upon if you're on a big screen or a small screen, which seems kind of tricky, but really it's not technically difficult. The challenges are more about the organization and prioritizing and getting your head in the right space. So if you want to follow along, if the Wi-Fi is working today, I'm going to pull this website up here. It's just npr.org/playgrounds. So just for example, this is our Playgrounds website. It's a place where you can look up playgrounds that are well suited to children with special needs, children in wheelchairs, for instance. It is a big, pretty desktop website with big, pretty pictures of happy children. It's also a perfectly nice mobile website. Forgive me if you've seen stuff like this before, but some folks haven't. So what you do is you search for a playground. Here's one in New York. Website works big, website works small. You can do complicated things. You can edit this is a crowdsourcing effort. So we're asking our audience to help us gather data about these locations. So on mobile, you can do the exact same thing. That you can do on desktop, right? So that we're not reducing the experience in any way. The trick is about, you know, the thing is, on a newspaper homepage, there's all kinds of crap everywhere, and you don't ever have to prioritize, right? Mobile first design is about getting things in line and putting the important things on top and the less important things a little lower. Anyway, so done with that. So we prioritize the design. One thing we do to make this work is we prioritize the design by actually designing the mobile version first. So our iPhone version over here, that's the first thing we did, and then we eventually stretched it out to the full size in the desktop, which can be pretty constraining if you're used to working with a large canvas. And it is constraining, but you've just got to embrace it. You know, designing for mobile first forces you, like at Teramoto, to innovate, right? And to stick to your priorities. So it's a great mind hack. It's also a great boss hack, because bosses never want to prioritize. So in case you still don't believe me, let's look at some numbers. This is Oscar Party. It was a live blog and chat. You can see I've got the mobile version and the desktop version side by side here. It included live results and a chat for the Academy Awards presentation last year. The idea was that we weren't going to replace the Academy Awards on television. We wanted to augment it. We wanted to give someone something to do while they were watching it. And if you're already watching TV, you're probably using your phone and not your laptop, right? So we consider this thing to be pretty successful with 14% mobile traffic. Cook Your Cupboard is a ridiculous website. We ask people to send photographs of the weird things they find in their pantry, in their kitchen, the leftover things that you don't know what to do with. And it has to be awesome on mobile, because that's how people take pictures these days, right? If someone had like their camera and you have to plug it into your computer and do it, nobody does that shit anymore, right? You go up, you take a picture, and you upload it. This is actually only 15% mobile, but this is actually a Tumblr website, which is a very mobile-friendly platform, so we're quite certain that our mobile numbers are actually much higher on this one. This, on the other hand, this is a tribute to musical artists who died in 2012. It's one of sort of several rich multimedia experiences we've built. I actually really like how this one works on mobile. I kind of prefer it. It's, it's sort of like, I'm sort of in love with the idea of listening to your telephone like it's a little transistor radio, like people did back in the day. This here is one of my favorites that we've made. I'll give you a background on this. The story is that for the last, couple hundred years in the U.S., the government has been doing everything they can to prevent and extinguish wildfires. The problem is, of course, when you do that for so long, future fires, because there's so much fuel all over the place, so much dry wood, the fires in the future will be bigger and more dangerous than ever, right? So people hear this scary story on the radio, and they think, oh shit, my house is going to burn down, right? And so we built this app for people that when they've heard the story, they can check if they're safe. What they do is it's sort of like a weather app, right? You can look up what the forecast for fires is today. It updates every day. I think it's pretty hot on desktop, but again, I like the mobile version even better. This one's kind of crazy. This is maybe a perfect example of who knows what mobile people want. So this is a list of people who were killed in grain bins. I don't know if that translates. Big silos with lots of corn in them, right? Big industrial things. They're all over the rural U.S. And when I heard the story, I could barely believe it. These are hundreds of people who drowned in corn, fell into the bin, filled their lungs, died a gruesome death. Terrible way to die. And we considered lots of ways to present this data. We thought about, this has geo information, so there's locations for everything. So we thought about maps, and we thought about a timeline, and we thought about charts. But none of them really seem stronger than you can see on the right here, the story. None of those ideas seem stronger than retelling just the accident summaries, talking about just the story of how this person died. And we were absolutely amazed to discover that there's no mobile utility here at all. This is not like Fire Forecast, right? That this thing did 31% mobile traffic, really just because it worked on mobile. Finally, last example. We built a bunch of stuff for the 2012 election in the US, but this piece was a standout. What we were asked to do is build a boards for the radio studio, where our hosts were sitting all day on election day. And so this was like their dashboard, their way to like see what was going on in real time. And it occurred to us, like, hell, let's not just build that for the studio. Let's put that on the internet. But we were like, we're too busy. We're not going to do it. And then like the last day, we finally said, okay, shit, we're going to put this thing on the internet. And I'm glad we did. The big boards, I mean, this is not like a responsibly designed thing. This kind of looks pretty good on your phone, looks pretty good on your tablet. It looks awesome on a wall. But the big boards counted for nearly half of our election traffic. I mean, these did millions of page views. And people were projecting it on their walls, and they were sending us photographs of their election party with NPR. I mean, it mostly worked on mobile, and it still did 43% mobile traffic because people had the TV on, but they had our results up in their pocket. Let me breathe again for a second. You can look at the slide for a second. So I've had a few polite discussions with news designers about mobile, and frankly, they think we're nuts. They want to make big, beautiful, detailed projects, and they say they can't possibly make their awesome graphics, their beautiful charts and maps work on a small screen. And they're probably right. Those big, beautiful charts and graphics aren't necessarily going to work on the small screen. But I don't care. The Pew Research Group in the US just reported that 56% of Americans own smartphones. And a few weeks ago, the US Census reported that although white people in the US and Asians are more likely to have home internet, nearly half of Americans use a smartphone to go on the internet, regardless of their race. So if we want to reach a diverse audience, which we do, you have to build for mobile. And it's not just about accessibility. People really like reading on mobile. The folks at Reading App Maker Readability report that folks prefer mobile for reading and counterintuitively prefer the phone to the tablet. So what I'm trying to say is, think of your audience. I mean, we don't just do journalism for our own satisfaction. If your graphics don't fit, don't work on the small screen, if folks can't use your stuff because they're on the bus or they're in bed or they're in el baño, then you're doing it wrong. So let's talk a minute for the future. A minute about the future. That's my garden. So 25% of users of O2, which is a British mobile provider, have ditched their laptop completely for a smartphone, which I just find astounding. And really different from how I use a computer every day. And probably different from how you all use computers every day. But that's the point. This isn't about you. It's about our audience. And this is why Karen McGrain, who I've quoted a couple of times, argues that everything you put on the web should work on mobile. You don't know how people are going to use your stuff, and you'd be an asshole if you're going to decide for them. So, also, it's not news that your news website homepage is dead, right? In greater and greater numbers, people don't go to your website to see what you've published. They go to social media to see what other people think is interesting. We're all sending each other little clippings in the mail, and that's fucking awesome. And it's something most of us are doing on mobile devices or on Facebook or Twitter from things in their pockets, and it's not going to stop. So, do you guys have this here? Chromecast? It's coming. It's very cool. All right. So earlier I mentioned mobile being on your television. We're really excited about this little device on our team. It's inexpensive. It's like $30. What you do, it plugs into the back of your television. This is about as big as a thumb drive. You know, you plug it into your TV, but it doesn't have a remote control. Right? What you do is you pick out things to watch on your phone, and then it broadcasts them up to your television set. Which, unlike using a cable box, cable TV, it could be a really wonderful user experience. What's fucking powerful about this is that content creators will finally be able to control the whole user experience, from the app to the screen, without the mediator, without the cable company in the middle. Maybe Chromecast isn't the device, but devices like this, I feel like, are the future. And if they catch on, I can imagine a day when most video is consumed on your TV, but via an app on your phone. You click the CNN app, you're watching CNN. You click the La Nación app, you're watching La Nación TV. You click NPR app, you're watching NPR. I think it sounds awesome, and I think it's something this is the kind of thing that will kill cable finally. I don't know if you guys hate cable TV here. I hate cable TV in the US. And speaking of killing cable, I probably shouldn't be saying this in public, but in the US, and again, I know the US, I don't know how things work around here, but in the US, journalism kind of has a bad reputation among the public. People just don't really trust us anymore, or not as much as they used to. And I think you ask me, I think it's the fault of dumbed down, shiny, rushed cable television news. Again, cable TV news might be awesome here. It's terrible in the US. But we have the opportunity to fix our reputation. Because it turns out, at least in the US, that 71% of people under the age of 29 are getting their news from the internet now. This is remarkable. Journalism may have lost the respect of anyone over 30 years old. But if we do news really well on mobile, where these people are at, maybe we can rebuild our fucking reputations. I'm cussing a lot this morning. Sorry about that. So, I'm almost done. I hope I've convinced you, and you want to learn more. I highly recommend, as a starting place, these 3 lovely books from the folks at A Book Apart. From left to right, Responsive Web Design walks you through the basics of making responsive websites. Mobile First Design talks about how you can arrive at the best mobile designs. And Content Strategy for Mobile is about how your organization can optimize your content so it works great on mobile platforms. They're all very short, and they're wonderful reads. They did not pay me to do this. I just like them a lot. Finally, if you're looking to see the state of the art, see who's doing it right now, these are a couple of my favorites. I'd spend some time with Quartz. On the left here, it's a business-oriented site from the publishers of The Atlantic. They are doing very smart things very quickly. The site is super fast. It's a delight on mobile. The news is great. Everything they're doing is awesome. I guess I need to plug NPR. I'm super proud of my colleagues. I don't actually work on this website. I work on other things, but they've been doing some very, very smart things with their mobile designs. So I guess people ask me why would I have left the startup world for journalism. They ask me that all the time. And there are a lot of reasons, like for instance that journalism is super cool and fascinating, and that everyone you get to work with, they're just awesomely smart. But also that making software for lawyers and making software for banks and things that I used to do is fucking terrible and steals your soul. But I'm excited about journalism. It's not just that. I'm excited about journalism because we, all of us, we get to rebuild. We are witnessing the creation of totally new ways to communicate. And that's why I'm geeked about mobile, and that's why I'm geeked about journalism, is this is the future, and we can make it. So, thank you. Ryan Mark and I was told to plug my workshop. Ryan Mark and I were doing a workshop about, I'm going to say it in Espanol, or not, well, I forget how you, anyway. Manejo de proyectos ágiles de noticias. Agile project management. It'll be fun. It's at 2 p.m. See you later.